Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also rise to support the committee's position on consideration of this business, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as the mover, Honorable Chepkonga, has said in his movement of consideration of this bicameral relations bill, many of the amendments, Honorable Speaker, that have been proposed by the Senate have been overtaken by time. Honorable Speaker, it's important to note that the House, in consideration of all the amendments passed by the Senate, also, I believe by the time the committee was considering, the Supreme Court ruling had not come out. But the Supreme Court ruling is now out. And I must take this opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to note with great appreciation the great work done by the judges of the Supreme Court in arbitrating in a matter that should never in the first place have ended up in court, leave alone finding its way all the way to the Supreme Court of the Republic of Kenya. Because, Honorable Speaker, these are issues that between the two houses we should have been able to resolve. But, Honorable Speaker, in the book of Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe, somewhere that Okonkwo noted the need or the desire to celebrate all your achievements, irrespective of whether other people are celebrating or not. And he said that the lizard that jumped from the high Iroko tree to the ground had to celebrate and praise himself if no one else did. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, we are at such a point that the National Assembly, having jumped from the big Iroko tree, whether anybody else praises us or celebrates us, we must celebrate this House for our fortitude and our commitment to the word and letter of the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya as enacted by Kenyans in 2010. Because we are vindicated by the Supreme Court, Honorable Speaker, that indeed the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya as enacted in 2010 and passed resoundingly by Kenyans gave particular mandates to both houses, appreciating that we are now in a bicameral system of parliament, but also gave specific functions and duties to each of the two houses. And that's why I said, Honorable Speaker, we have gone through a painful 6 years. And many of us agonized over the years on why we need to be fighting in court between us and the Senate. And Honorable Speaker, you remember there are many, even in the last parliament, because, Honorable Speaker, I am lucky that at the time these 23 acts of parliament were passed, I was a member of this House. And through the agonizing 6 years, there are many members of this House also who almost gave up and would often question the leadership and the Speaker of the House on the need to be fighting in court. And some even suggested, why don't we just reenact these laws again and send them to the Senate? But there are many of us, Honorable Speaker, truly believing in the position espoused in our Constitution, that as much as we have a bicameral parliament, there are specific functions and responsibilities of each house. And the Constitution is clear on what manner of bills should go to the Senate and which ones need not go, Honorable Speaker. And that's why I take this opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to celebrate the Supreme Court judges, to celebrate this House for staying true to the provisions of our Constitution, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you know, when we refer bills to the other House, we never do it out of benevolence or pity, or because we do it just to please people in the other House, or because we are not able to enact laws. We refer bills that ought to be referred to the other House because these are the dictates of the Constitution. And the bills that we do not refer to the other House, we do not refer to the other House because that is what the Constitution dictates. That, for instance, on matters that touch on money bill, and I must mention this, Honorable Speaker, because I know we are in the mediation process of another bill, the National Lottery Bill. Again, I saw the other house, the Senate, attempt to bring in amendments that touch on taxation, Honorable Speaker. Matters that clearly are not under the purview of the Senate, as provided for in our Constitution. Therefore, let me take this opportunity to remind the chair of the Finance Committee and the chair of the Sports Committee, who are leading the mediation committee between us and the Senate, that nothing that touches on taxation, on administration of tax, should be considered in those amendments that came from the Senate. Because it was a disingenuous way of the Senate trying to participate in tax matters by introducing amendments to a National Assembly bill and introducing amendments that touch on tax administration and tax matters, Honorable Speaker. So that we get into mediation, and now we start haggling over those. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, now that the Supreme Court has set the record straight, and as painful as it has been, Honorable Speaker, because I told you, many despaired along the way over these 6 years. But we have learned our painful lesson, Honorable Speaker, of how not to resolve bicameral disputes. Because for 6 years, immense public resources have been spent paying lawyers. Immense time has been spent of our officers in the National Assembly and those in the Senate at a time when our internal lawyers and public officers who work in Parliament would have been doing other meaningful things. They spent time, Honorable Speaker, fighting over this dispute in court. And it was a matter that would have simply resolved without ever having to go to court, Honorable Speaker. But, Honorable Speaker, let me conclude by saying that this Supreme Court ruling is a win-win situation, Honorable Speaker. It is a win for Parliament as a whole. Both houses have now been reminded of our constitutional responsibilities and the limits of our mandates, our respective mandates, Honorable Speaker. It is now clear where our mandate begins and where it ends, and where that of the Senate begins and where it ends. It is now time for both houses to discharge our responsibilities and observe our constitutional limits diligently without need to haggle, without need to throw words at each other. Honorable Speaker, as I said when I began, with that in mind, and in this win-win situation, and this win for Parliament, and a win for the Constitution of Kenya, Honorable Speaker, an institution that were created by the Constitution of Kenya, including the Supreme Court and the two houses, Honorable Speaker. Many of the amendments that have been proposed by the Senate in this bill have been spent because that Supreme Court judgment, as delivered, has dealt in great detail. And those who have taken time to read the judgment will see that the Supreme Court judges did take a lot of their time in considering all the issues. And therefore, many of these amendments are overtaken by time and events, including that judgment. And we should not be taken back to Egypt now. Let us cross the Mediterranean and get out of Egypt, Honorable Speaker, and agree with the committee to reject all those amendments, as the chair said. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable David Ochieng, before you contribute, I want to recognize the presence in the public gallery of students from PCA Chogoria, Central Thiga Church, from Mara constituency, Tharaka Nithi. And I think we have the member of parliament for Tharaka, who comes from Tharaka County and Tharaka constituency, who is going to represent a member of parliament for Mara. The Honorable Murugara, look this side. This is the public gallery. That one is the speaker's gallery. And if you want to get closer so they can watch you, go that way, because this is probably...
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving me the chance to welcome this team from Mara constituency. It's supposed to be on behalf of my good friend Kareke Mbiuki, who is not here. They are very much welcome here into the house. to observe the proceedings and also see what happens in this August House, where they have elected leaders to come and represent the interests of the various communities in the country. Those remarks, I sincerely welcome them to observe the proceedings.
Yes. Proceed, Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me also take this opportunity to welcome that group from Chogoria constituency in the Tharaka-Nithi County. Honorable Speaker, this, I hear the Honorable member for Buri saying it is PCA. I wanted to say these are very good people from Chogoria. As he says, it is a home of, the second home of the Scottish missionaries who established the Presbyterian Church of East Africa when they first arrived in Kibwezi, before they moved on to the cooler areas of Kikuyu. The only other place they found that was as cool and as good as Kikuyu was Chogoria. And therefore, I want to take this opportunity to welcome these visitors to the house. And the people of the Tharaka-Nithi, or otherwise known as the Stronghold, are very good people. I was in Chogoria last week accompanying the president on the tour of the mountain. And the people of the Tharaka-Nithi and Chogoria can tell you that indeed the mountain is intact. Those people who claimed to have written a will on behalf of the people of Mount Kenya, even the visitors here today will tell you that they have the capacity to make decisions on who to vote for, including their member of parliament and other leaders, without having to look at wills written by individuals. And indeed, when we went to Chogoria, the people of Chogoria told us last week that if anybody wants to do a will, you do a will for your wife, your two boys, and any other any others that you may have out there, but not for the people of Kenya, the people of Chogoria, or the people of Mount Kenya. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable David Cheng, the minority leader. Can I give a minority leader just before you, because you had